Greetings, everybody. My name is Larry Williamson, Jr., and I'm the director of the Frank W. Hale Black Culture Center within the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at The Ohio State University. And we are here for our first Zoom presentation with two outstanding students. We call this program Stories, and stories about outstanding students that have matriculated through The Ohio State University. Our very first guest star, Ms. Hale Campbell and Mr. Donovan Hampton. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Same here.
Outstanding. Outstanding. I mean, through this pandemic and also through these times, challenging times for change, I'm so glad that you guys are coming in there because you guys were not only student leaders, you were activists within our campus. So to me, you can't have two better students. But our goal and objective today is just to share your experience. People will be listening to this. And in addition, as we listen to these programs and stuff, they need to know how you made it through The Ohio State University at the level that you actually did. So let me start off with the first question. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, the high school you went to, and what brought you to The Ohio State University.
Hi, so my name is Kayla Campbell, and I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. My mom is a single mom, and my grandma also raised me. So I was raised by both of them, and I went to and graduated from Walnut Hills High School back in 2016. Seems so long ago, but not so far at the same time. And what brought me to Ohio State, there was one event in particular where a few diversity ambassadors within the undergraduate admissions office came in, and they had a dinner and were able to speak with us about all of their opportunities and experiences at Ohio State. And then also I visited campus for a multicultural breakfast and visited Fisher, visited all over campus as well. And so that was what brought me to Ohio State.
Mr. Hampton?
Yeah, my name is Donovan Hampton. And so a little bit about my background in coming to Ohio State. I was raised by mom and my dad and my little sister. So that was pretty much our family unit. I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And graduated from Brush High School, which is actually in a suburb outside of Cleveland. So it was a medium-sized high school, I guess. And so what brought me to Ohio State was initially it was one of the safe schools that I had chose, because I had chosen so many different schools that were far away from home, because I wanted to get away from home because I had been in Ohio for so long, and I thought that I was ready to take that leap outside of the state. And so with it being one of the safe schools, I filled out the FAFSA, and it turned out that Ohio State gave me the most number of loans and grants and whatnot to fund my education. And so that's kind of what ultimately decided for me, along with the proximity to Cleveland. So it's about a 2-hour drive. So it's far enough to be far away from home, but not necessarily too far where in case of an emergency or something happened, I wouldn't be able to go home.
Very, very good. Okay, you both had affiliations with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. You, Ms. Campbell, with MSP, which is the Moral Scholars Program, and you, Mr. Hampton, with the Town Anthony Bell Resource Center for the African American male. Can you please explain how these programs impacted you in your college experience?
Yes, so I am a part of the Moral Scholars Program, and it's actually very kind of ironic because when I visited campus back in 2015 or 2016, there was the multicultural breakfast where, again, diversity ambassadors were a part of it. And I had heard about this Moral Scholars application that I could apply to within the our Common App. And I wasn't really sure because I was like, wow, this is amazing. They give so much money for people who exemplify and really care and are passionate about diversity and inclusion and equity. And I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to express all of that in an essay. And so I spoke with the director of the diversity ambassadors, and I was speaking with her like, I'm not sure if I should apply. And she highly encouraged me to apply. And with that, I became a moral scholar. And so being a part of that program has been a phenomenal experience. I've participated in 2 of their early arrival programs, once as an attendee, and then the second time as a host. And then also for my junior year, as a resident advisor, I was one of the Moral Scholars resident advisors on the floor. And so it's been really awesome. That program has been phenomenal.
And Mr. Hampton?
So my experience with the BNRC began when I was a freshman and with the EAP program, the early arrival program. And so after ending a STEM program that was in a different department within ODI, which I wasn't necessarily completely comfortable in, I came to the BNRC and I felt at home. I saw so many different Black men at the university coming together from different walks of life, different parts of the country, different ethnic backgrounds, and so seeing all of that come together in the 3 days prior to moving into OSU, it really made an impact on me. I made lifelong friends in that group. I made lifelong mentors and partnerships with different professors and staff on campus. And so that kind of shaped my trajectory of how I understood what my experience at Ohio State would be. Because not only, like I said, not only did they provide me like professional relationships, they provided me with personal and friend relationships that if I needed somebody to, go to the calf with or go out with or go do different things with, it was that much easier because I'd already met them days before any type of campus affiliated event. And so moving through the BNRC, going from a mentee to a mentor to someone who goes on different conferences and different things with the BNRC, I would definitely say that it, again, like shaped my understanding of what it meant to be included within the Black community at OSU, but also how you can operationalize your networks and connections within both the Bell Natural Resource Center and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion.
Okay, at the risk of being redundant, and Donovan, you did a great job of answering this one, and Ms. Campbell will give you the opportunity to go a little bit more detail. Looking back now, what were the aspects of MSP and the Bell National Resource Center that helped the most to create a memorable college experience? And we're going to go with you, Ms. Campbell.
Oh, one of the largest, most memorable pieces about the Moral Scholars Program is really the connections among students, whether that's across class and like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, as well as within each group or within each class. So what has been the most memorable is being able to have so many conversations, dialogues, going to different events with one another that really are important to cultivating a community and learning more about ourselves and the world. And so events in particular included mixers that we would have where we would learn more about each other and different components as to how to create a more equitable and just world, as well as being a part of the Moral Scholars learning community as the resident advisor. That was also a way to really cultivate that. And then also we created a direct mentorship program my sophomore year where I was able to be a part of the creative expressions team. And so that was directly pairing sophomores with freshmen. And so really being able to cultivate relationships and connect with one another really highlighted my experiences with the Moral Scholars Program.
Okay.
And for me within the Bell National Resource Center, I would say what made it most memorable to me was how much everyone cared about each other genuinely. That's from administration down to mentee level, how often people check up on you and come support you if you're doing something on campus that requires people to come out and celebrate what it is that we're trying to get done within a university. But also I would say that the camaraderie that the Bell National Resource Center brought to me from, again, like I said, friendships to professional relationships is people are genuinely interested in how your day is going. How are you progressing in classes? What is your next step after undergrad? What is your next step for next year? Have you signed up for this internship? Did you apply for this study abroad? Like all those different things definitely made this college experience memorable within the BNRC.
Yeah, and Mr. Hampton, you received the very prestigious and the very first Picard Scholar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just to show
Yeah.
how valuable you were to that,
Mm-hmm.
to the Bell National Resource and to the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and to the Hale Center. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that?
So the Picard, being nominated for that and then getting the chance to go through that experience was definitely something that helped me build my understanding of what it means to be a part of a community organization and seeking change towards a goal, or seeking, I guess, a remedy to some sort of situation. So within that program, we were given a specific area of focus, basically trying to find a solution to a problem within the Black community. And so we were tasked with doing research on a specific issue and then carrying out a plan for that. And then I chose to do a community gardening initiative where it tackled food insecurity and food injustice and food apartheid within Columbus communities. And essentially, my plan was to appropriate vacant lots and vacant houses to make community gardens spread out through different disadvantaged communities in Columbus. And so that process of doing the research associated with understanding what it means to be in a food apartheid or be a victim of food injustice or food insecurity, and how I can further bring myself into the situation, but also realize that I don't have the answers to everything. So that was a part of the research process, is reaching out to people and doing the readings that are necessary to find the true solution to this problem. And that experience in of itself helped me understand what research is about and what community organizing about, and what different aspects of how we understand like food in and of itself, how available it is, definitely changed my understanding of like that whole process, I guess.
Good, good. And for you, Ms. Campbell, as an MSP student and as an active student, you ran the largest, one of the largest in the country, Thanksgiving dinners, where you dealt with the budget, had close to 2,000 people with volunteers and everything. Just share a little bit about that experience, that on Thanksgiving Day, Ohio State has one of the largest Thanksgiving meals, and you were one of the co-chairs that ran that whole situation.
Yes, so this past fall, I was one of the co-chairs for the Thanksgiving dinner here on campus. So it's a really large partnership between both the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and the Office of International Affairs on campus. And it was an amazing experience to really see so many individuals, especially those who are unable to travel home over that fall break to be with family, or might not be able to have access to a warm meal during that time. And so being able to really see that come into fruition and seeing so many smiles and individuals was really happy coming together, and being able to have fellowship over food was a phenomenal experience.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, Donovan, you received money to actually get that. And then Ms. Campbell, you had a budget of $44,000 that you had to oversee. So again, I congratulate you both. Moving on, both of you were able to study abroad and had a study abroad experience. Ms. Campbell, you went to Nepal, and Mr. Hampton, you went to Brazil, I believe, twice. Mm-hmm. How did this experience change you? What surprised you about the experience? Ms. Campbell?
So traveling to Nepal was a phenomenal experience, something that I still have to reflect on so much, because there's just so much within that I still haven't really been able to delve into. And so last spring or summer, really, May 2019, I traveled with the Fisher College of Business to Nepal, and it was through a global nonprofit program that they have. And so I was able to really be in Nepal for 2 weeks. And even prior to that, we were able to really learn about the country and really learn about their different business aspects, the cultural aspects, and really how can we be a part of something that's so amazing there. And so I was able to work at a nonprofit while there called Atmia, which is really a space for women to really be entrepreneurs and support themselves and their families. And it was really awesome. Again, being in Nepal, really experiencing their culture, stepping out of my comfort zone, and really absorbing oh so much.
Mr. Hampton?
Yeah, and so like you said, yeah, I did travel to Brazil twice during my undergraduate career, which is a blessing in and of itself. And so the first time I went with the music department as a part of a cultural program that delved more in Afro-Brazilian culture and music. And it was split between two cities. So we spent 1 week in Bahia, which is in the north. It's a predominantly Black area of Brazil. And then we spent the other week in Rio, which is a more urban setting and more mixed culture. And I would say that first experience was definitely eye-opening because it was the first time that I was traveling alone out of the country. Not necessarily completely alone, but alone, as in I didn't know anybody on the trip with me. And that one had definitely had its benefits and drawbacks. Like I said, it definitely opened my eyes to see the cultural connections that Black Americans and Black people within Brazil have, and like the similarities and differences that we have. And so I'm just looking at the music and the history of Brazil and the difference between Rio and Bahia, and seeing how the linkages between the continental Africa and Brazil, and continental Africa and America. And so that trip, again, like I said, had benefits and drawbacks because I was on a trip that I didn't know anybody on the trip. It was kind of hard to get to know people and speak to them. And again, I was one of the few people of color on the trip. And so that was a bit of an issue, trying to understand like the cultural differences and trying to explain to the white people on the trip that how they act in this country and how their Americanness and their whiteness informs how they deal with and how they move about the space that they're in is different than the way that I do and how I understand these different things. And so that was something interesting. And the second time I went with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion specific program that was specifically in Bahia. And that program was a bit more comforting to me because I knew people on the trip. I had very close friends who went on the trip with me. And then also it was a predominantly trip of predominantly people of color. So it was more, I guess they were more informed about how the space they were taking up and what kind of privileges and disadvantages they had in comparison to Black Brazilians. And so that one was a bit more comforting to me because I had already been there, so I could see the differences and changes between the time that I had been there last, and also see new things that I hadn't seen before, experience new things that I hadn't experienced before. So between those two trips, I would definitely say they changed my outlook on life, on scholarship, on Blackness, on Americanness, on all these different things, how they inform how I move through the university and how I move through life. And I would definitely say that I those two trips for sure were highlights of my undergraduate career.
Very, very good. Okay, each of you have tremendous summer experiences. One with an internship, and Ms. Campbell, you were with KPMG. I'm gonna let you explain what that is, but it's a multinational professional service network and one of the big four accounting organizations. And Mr. Hampton, you were with Yale, the summer undergraduate research fellowship. How did the summer internship fellowship impact your life?
Yes, so I still honestly cannot believe that I've had the opportunity to intern after my sophomore year, as well as after my junior year. And then later on this summer, I'll be returning to KPMG to intern once more. So just really thinking about that, I'm extremely grateful and just still in awe that these opportunities have been occurring. And so reflecting back on the first one, I really did not know that much about different business components, aspects, how to maneuver within an office setting, especially because it is oh so different than being, within regular society. So as soon as you walk into those spaces, you really have to think about more so than you do within navigating on a normal day, like how you're speaking with different individuals, especially as an intern, and then walking in, and I was really one of the only, within my space, one of the only Black women And then I was able to connect with another Black woman who worked within risk management. So that was phenomenal. And then just really being cognizant of different business practices, how to conduct oneself, also at the same time learning the content, of course, and learning more about tax and accounting. And so last summer, 2019, I was able to travel to Denver with KPMG. And so I was there for 3 weeks participating in their tax innovation rotation program. And so it was really ignition and innovation and really learning the tech behind the tax and accounting. And so that was a really amazing space to be in, because it was very, the culture was even very innovative and very open, and they had quite a few folks from different backgrounds and ethnicities and gender as well. And so that was really awesome to be a part of. And this summer will be quite interesting being a part of a virtual experience, but I'm really happy because I do have some connections within their different offices. So I'll be able to still virtually connect with folks through that.
And what did KPMG stand for?
It's a really long acronym that I do not want to mess up pronouncing.
We'll let you slide on that one. Okay, Mr. Hampton. I mean, Mr. Hampton, Ivy League. I mean, hey.
Yes. So being at Yale was definitely experience. And so I think the most interesting thing for me about being at Yale and studying there for that summer, and then at the end of it, presenting an academic paper, was the journey itself it took from this idea that I had about something I wanted to write about, writing a proposal for it, coming to you and like so many other administrators and professors for recommendations or people to read over my proposal, and then getting accepted. I remember the day that I got accepted, it was February, and I was in the RPAC and I got an email, and I was just like jumping in the lobby of the RPAC, like I just ecstatic that I was like, is this real? Like I had to like check and like make sure that the email address, like the person that's into it, like I was like, this is actually happening. And then so traveling to Connecticut, which was interesting in itself because it was like there was a lull period between the end of classes and then being in Columbus and then moving to Connecticut and then moving back to Columbus. That was interesting, but also my experience at Yale, where I was on it was kind of like a research group team, but we all had individual projects that we were working towards within a department. And so doing that research, again, delving back into the Picard, which was like perfectly lined up for this, going from the Picard and understanding what the research was for that, and then getting even deeper into understanding the academic research process at Yale was just eye-opening to me. It really pushed me through this senior year and how I understood what it meant to research and like my whole understanding of how I'm going to approach graduate school, how I'm going to approach different intellectual endeavors later in life. Like that definitely challenged me to do that and work harder and be more sturdy and be more proud in the work that I do and be diligent in the way that I do my work. And so that was the academic side of being at Yale, but also it was just a fun time to be in a new place for the summer. I never thought I would be in Connecticut. I never thought that I would be at Yale, just walking around the campus, using their libraries and using all of their resources and seeing how the culture of Yale is like it's very Ivy League, it's very, I would say very, very like, not necessarily upper crust, but like, I guess you could say it like that. And so with it being so close to New York, I was traveling back and forth to New York every weekend and having fun because I had a friend who had an internship in New York, and I would just stay there for the weekend and we'd go to like different free concerts and different like different venues and different things in New York. And so that experience in and of itself was just a great summer experience, and making those connections at Yale that I can say that these people have helped me along my intellectual journey. They can see the intellectual property that I'm creating is worthy being put up on as a pedestal as other works and different things like that. And then at the end of the program, we had a large conference within the, so the Yale program was, the undergraduate research fellowship was out of the Leadership Alliance. And so we had that big final conference at the end where we all presented our work, and just seeing so many people of color present work that was important to them, that was integral to the field that they were studying in, and seeing those people now graduate with those theses and with those undergraduate theses, and seeing those people go into graduate school on those proposals is just so impactful to me, because it shows me that, like, you can start from this very small idea, like, I'm going to write about this, and it can carry you so far. And so I would definitely say, like, my experience at Yale was mostly about the journey of starting from stressing about the application to having all this experience, all these networks and connections after having gone through it.
Very, very good. And you both are excellent writers. I want to say that I've seen your writing and everything. And I think that helped to propel you both to graduate school. For you, Ms. Campbell, and being able to be accepted in the Fisher College of Business. And for you, Mr. Hampton, going to teach for America, at South Carolina, and being able to educate our youth, and also to have the opportunity to go to graduate school. I think that's a tremendous asset and a testimony to your excellence. I'm gonna go on with a few more questions. Here, I'm just go here. Each of you worked at the Frank W. Black Culture Center, also a part of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Can you share with us what the experience of being a part of the Hale Center meant to you specifically?
So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of flashback to really delve into this one a little bit. So I remember during summer orientation, right before freshman year, I knew that I was going to really want a work study, because I had been granted those funds, and I was like, I really want to find somewhere where I can work and really be a part of something that I would absolutely love to be engaged in and with. And so I reached out to one of our Moral Scholar coordinators to see if she had any ideas as to how to look for and seek a work study position. And so then she shared with me that we had a Black Cultural Center. And I was like, that is phenomenal, because in high school, I was the treasurer of our Black Culture Club. And so I was like, that would be a perfect kind of bridge to just transition into working at the Hale Center. And so I applied and interviewed and was able to start on as a student worker. And so as soon as I started working my hours, I realized that was 100% the place for me to be, because I was able to engage with so many of my peers and really have a space on campus for us really to connect and engage. Because again, like going to a PWI, predominantly white institution, you don't really see each other that much within classrooms or different spaces on campus. So really being able to have those conversations while working, and also being able to go to a lot of different events that are held in the Hale Center was a phenomenal experience. And so I was able to not only be able to connect with a lot of my peers and a lot of my friends as well, but being able to connect with professionals and faculty members at the different events that were held. And so through working at the Hale Center, I've been able to really grow and truly learn so much more about myself, so much more about my own culture and history, and really delve into what does it mean to be a part of our community. And also, again, like being able to be a part of so many different events, like through the Hale Center, I've been able to sing twice for our MLK Day celebrations, been able to sing at a lot of different, what do we call them, talent shows and things of that sort, here and there from student organizations. And then even once I no longer worked at the Hale Center, I made sure that I stayed as connected as possible by making sure I went to student organization meetings, making sure that my own student organization held our meetings there, just because it's such a rich place to be connected to and forever connected to, especially being a Black Buckeye.
I would say my experience working at the Hale Center definitely was kind of like a blossoming of a flower. because at first, like Mr. Williams saying, you can probably attest to this, is like, I didn't necessarily, I was not necessarily the most outspoken or like outgoing person. Like I was very shy. I was dealing with a lot of social anxiety going to such a big university and not really understanding, like, there are a lot of people here. And so when I first started working at the Hale Center, like Kayla said, like I had the work study and I was looking for a place where I could get work done, but also be proud of like where I'm working at, like what the center meant for me. And so somebody did recommend the Hale Center. So I applied, and then started working there. So, and through the 4 years of working at the Hale Center, I definitely would say it's like a blossoming of flowers. Very shy and very standoffish. I was just here to work and here to do my work. And then it became overhearing different conversations about different student groups or different parties or different things, and seeing my friends come in and out of the center and their friends meeting their friends' friends and all these different networks and the free food and like all these different professional programs. And so that's that culmination of all those things really made an impact on me as far as working at the Hale Center, but also being a part of so many student organizations that operated out of that space. And so in being able to, I guess, use my experience working at the Hale Center, being a student leader at times, and being somebody that Mr. Williams and other different administrators within the building looked up to, definitely it boosted my confidence and my courage to go out and do different things within the university, but also in life, like applying for these different internships and study abroad programs. So I would say that's definitely my experience working at the Hale Center, that it really kind of emboldened me to be more outgoing and be this better person during my time at the university.
Well, you both are incredibly talented young scholars, but Donovan, you said something that's very interesting, because you both are very talented beyond that. Mm-hmm. You both have skills. Ms. Campbell, you sing outstandingly and you have performed. And Mr. Hampton, you're just magnificent with words as a poet. How does that help to define you? How does that round out your college experience of being not only educated in a scholarly way, but being able to express yourself culturally? Because for African-American people, we're so well-rounded. We're kind of like Renaissance people. We do so many type of things, and to be able to see you switch from being educational, now all of a sudden cultural, and then articulated in such beautiful with song and with words, how does that define you? And we're going to start with you, Ms. Campbell.
I had to kind of pause and let that resonate a little bit. But it is like, when I really and truly think about it, each and every time that I sang at an event on campus surrounded something that was cultural, and just really thinking about that, helping me really grow into my own person and really learning more about myself, as well as just art overall, and my fellow peers who are very artsy, as people will say, or creative within words and musicality and so many other different forms. And so just really being able to sing at different events, such as the MLK Day of Service or at the African American Heritage Festival, just really helping myself learn more about myself, writing some of the words that I sang, or choosing songs that really resonated with me at that time or aligned with the event that was occurring. It is really awesome to really think about the fact that singing really allowed me to do so and be in various spaces beyond just the classroom.
How has my I think so. I don't think you can really divorce, like you said, like the educational from the cultural, because I mean, like Audre Lorde says, the personal is political. So how is it that I'm learning about these different things in classes and not write about them, because they impact my life? So being somebody who's in a humanities field, combining sociology and African American studies, how is it that I cannot write about these things that inform me as a person, as a being? And so I would say that I can't really divorce the two, like the educational and the cultural. I would say that they play on each other. They definitely give me more depth to write with, and different angles to write from, and how I understand how the structural and the systemic impact the personal. How is it that different things that go on in my day are centuries in the making, and different for things like that. And so that definitely is how I understand my art, and how I understand my connections to the cultural community at OSU. I would also say it's, again, it gave me another chance to come out of my comfort zone and build that courage and that confidence to go perform in front of, whether it be 12 people, 2 people, or 500 people. It definitely gives you that courage to bear your soul and bear your creative culture, this thing that you built from nothing, with a greater audience, to have them build a community with you, and understand, being able to resonate with what you're saying and what it is you're talking about.
Both of you not only have that talent, you took that talent to the African American Heritage Festival. Mm-hmm. What does that festival mean to the Ohio State University, and what did it mean to you? And we'll start with you, Ms. Campbell.
I would say just collectively, the African American Heritage Festival means a lot to Black students in particular on campus, as well as neighboring schools and within the community, because we also invite individuals who are not necessarily OSU students. So it's really a space for us all to come together and celebrate us for a whole entire week. And then really thinking about it from a more personal space, my freshman year, when I heard about the African American Heritage Festival and the opportunity to be a part of the talent showcase that they had, I was oh so nervous, because I honestly, before college, did not perform at all, like individually by myself, singing. I was almost always a part of choir in high school, because that was my thing. Like, I absolutely loved choir, I loved singing, but that individual solo, not me at all. And so I remember even auditioning for the African American Heritage Festival my freshman year, I was oh so nervous, I was shaking. They gave me a second chance to really try again, pretty much, now looking back at it, but they like coached me through that, like, so like, where are you singing from? They asked me some questions and really like got to know me. And so even performing that first time, I was like shaking, like oh so much, but really having that opportunity in that space to really get in front of my peers and my community to really share something that has always been a part of me was beautiful. And so then my sophomore year, I collaborated with a peer and a friend, and we did a program and a thing for Black women, highlighting Black women in particular. And then my junior year, I was a part of a subcommittee for the talent showcase, which is really funny. And then also rewinding, my sophomore year, I was a part of the poetry showcase subcommittee. So really growing more into myself, learning more about the art piece of us, as well as just the history, the community, and oh so much. So really stepping out of my comfort zone and growing more into myself.
So the Heritage Festival for me, definitely, like Hale said, is something that is extremely important, I say, for Black students at OSU, but not also surrounding communities, but also staff and faculty, because I do see every year you see more and more people, different kinds of people coming in and enjoying this space. But also going from freshman year, seeing the poetry showcase as a voyeur, and being enamored with the show, being enamored with how people can make you feel something in the way that they perform poetry. Going to sophomore year, where I was on the subcommittee, and then having my junior and senior year being on the actual committee. It really just like spoke to my growth at OSU, going from this bystander to a position of leadership, and be able, a mover and shaker, to showcase how like how much variety is within Black culture and Black people at the university. So each day being something completely different from a different day, and having different people come to different days and say that they really enjoyed their time there, and they definitely want to try to apply for the subcommittee or apply for the committee or be a volunteer, be connected to the African American Heritage Festival in some way, has definitely made me have pride in that event, pride in being a part of the production of the entire event, but also pride that we have this specific event for us, by us, and it provides so much like catharsis, I guess, because so many people say, I'm so tired of class, I can't wait to go to the Heritage Festival, and I can't wait to Heritage Festival. They have all these different things, and people get to dress up or be active and do these different things. I definitely would say that it imbued a sense of pride and confidence in me being a part of that committee, but also a part of what it means, what African American Heritage Festival means to OSU community.
Well, I thank you guys so much. I'm going to wrap it up with this final question to you guys, and you did excellent, and we're so proud of you and the accomplishments that you made at Ohio State University. But you guys are leaving a legacy. You're leaving a legacy with you, Ms. Campbell, with the Black Mental Health Coalition and initiating that, and you, Mr. Hampton, for reviving and Never Let Your Pen Dry. There's a strong legacy in both of those. So when I'm talking about legacies, how would you like to leave your legacy, or how would you like your legacy to be known at the Ohio State University? That Ms. Campbell, Mr. Hampton, you have been at Ohio State University for 4 years. What is the legacy that you want the Ohio State University to remember you guys by? And we'll start with you, Ms. Campbell.
So that is such a large question and something that I haven't really thought much about, or really, I don't know, like, especially just me being an individual, like my legacy, like that, that's kind of large. But now, even as I say that, I think back to, I can't remember what year it was, but the African American Heritage Festival on campus, the theme was legacy. And so they really had us delve into that. And so now that I think about it, I actually wrote a poem to be a part of the Poetry Showcases subcommittee, because I'm not like an amazing writer in that sort. Like, I'm not a poet, and I rarely write songs. I wrote songs a lot more when I was younger. And so with that, and writing that poem, I talked a lot about like my family and my grandma who passed during my junior year of high school, as well as just like my mom and me being an only child. And so when I think of like my individual legacy, I think a lot about like family. And so not only like, I feel like it's really hard. Like, I don't know, legacy, I feel like I need to let that simmer and think about it a lot. But jumping more to just overall, especially like what you mentioned, Mr. Williamson, with the Black Mental Health Coalition. So my freshman year, I realized that I'm not always okay, to say the least. And at the same time, not everyone is always okay either. And we don't really talk about that a lot. And so there was a day in which a lot of us came together and sat down to really talk about that, because there were some events that had occurred on campus all throughout that year. And then there were also some more specific events that occurred within our community. And when I say our community, I mean the Black student population at OSU. And so we were like, y'all, we really have to get this together. And if there isn't a space already for us, let's create that space for us. And so we sat down my freshman year, and created the Black Mental Health Coalition. And so my sophomore year, I was a part of the inaugural, or the founding executive board as treasurer, because I absolutely love numbers and I love mental health. And then fast forwarding, my junior year, I was president. And then this past year, as a senior, I was co-president. And so really being a part of that organization was integral for just my all 4 years of being at Ohio State, because really knowing that I'm not alone, a lot of other folks aren't alone. Let's talk about these different pieces of mental health and well-being within our Black lives, because it really isn't talked about much, and learning how to cope with various things and really build and be well, and not only just survive, as a lot of us are often trying to do, but thrive.
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Hampton?
And so with I'm gonna start with Never Let Your Pen Dry. And so like being a part of the revival of that organization and not really knowing about the history of it before I had become a part of the leadership for it, I guess that kind of like pushed me to, I guess, start a legacy in and of itself. With Imani Harris, who is also somebody well known through ODI, who we both were co-presidents for that organization during our time here at OSU, starting my sophomore year. Yeah, so we became co-presidents for the second, third, and fourth year. And so with that organization and its revival, we wanted to keep true to the roots of what Never Let Your Pen Dry began as, but also revitalizing it so that it's become more accessible and more enticing to different communities on campus, because the reason that it did had died down because there was no clear, I guess, like leadership style or like how people were approached a part of being an organization. So me and Imani sat down and we talked about what would we look for as young poets, as young writers, as young creative people who love to write. What would it mean to have an organization like created for us, by us, to talk about the things that we don't necessarily get to talk about, or vent and workshop and do all these different things, work on performance skills and work on performing in front of people, being a part of open mics and talent shows and all these different things. And so I guess in talking about legacy, I guess here at OSU, it would be more about how I would like to be referred to as somebody who didn't sit by and idly watch things happen or wait for things to happen, or somebody who went out and got and looked for and did the things that they were looking for, and somebody who took leadership roles, and somebody who I'm trying to find the words for it. But I guess that's pretty much it. Just somebody who didn't sit by idly and waited for things to happen. Somebody who took a leadership role and took the initiative to start things or be a part of the moving and shaking and the shaping of how Black experiences look at OSU, and being that mentor, that being that mentee within a university, and saying, how is it that I can make our community stronger, better? How is it that I can make us more connected? How is it that I can reach out to people and see if they're okay, and see if they're willing to go out of their way to do these different things and be a part of be a part of a community that's greater than yourself.
Well, I want to thank you both. I want to thank you, Ms. Hale Campbell, and I want to thank you, Mr. Donovan Hampton. Because of your contributions and because of your stories, you have made the Frank W. Hale Black Culture Center, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, the Ohio State University, and the City of Columbus, and the state of Ohio a much better place. Keep on blazing your trails, and we look forward to your major contributions in the future. Thank you for being a part of our stories.